Self-doubt is a shadow that follows us all at some point in our lives. It whispers when we try something new, shouts when we stand at the edge of our dreams, and holds us back when we're ready to leap forward. But what if I told you that this shadow isn't permanent? What if self-doubt is simply a sign that you're about to grow? Imagine this. You're about to walk into a room filled with opportunities, people who can change your life, moments that can define your future. As you stand outside that door, your heart races. Thoughts flood your mind. What if I'm not good enough? What if I make a fool of myself? And so, instead of stepping in, you hesitate. You turn around. This hesitation, this choice to turn away, is self-doubt at its peak. But here's the truth. Self-doubt is nothing more than a protective mechanism. It's your brain's way of shielding you from potential failure. The problem is, it doesn't know the difference between danger and opportunity. And today we're going to teach it. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to not just overcome self-doubt, but transform it into a powerful force that drives you toward your goals. Let's dive deep into this journey together. Self-doubt doesn't just appear out of thin air. It's not something you're born with, and it's certainly not something you choose. It's planted within you, often when you're too young to recognize it for what it is. And like a seed, it grows slowly over time, nurtured by experiences, circumstances, and even the words of others. Take a moment to think back to your childhood. Were there moments when someone's words cut deeper than they should have? Maybe a teacher dismissed your ideas with a scoff, a parent compared you to someone else, or a friend teased you in a way that felt more like an attack. At the time, you might not have realized the impact of these moments. But deep down, they started to shape the way you saw yourself. For example, imagine a child who loves to draw. They spend hours creating vibrant, colorful pictures and proudly show their work to a parent. Instead of praise, the parent criticizes, "Why did you make the sky purple?" The sky isn't purple. That one comment, said in passing, can stay with the child for years. The joy of creation becomes overshadowed by a fear of doing it wrong. Or picture a student excited to answer a question in class. They raise their hand, give the wrong answer, and the class erupts in laughter. In that moment, their mind starts to form a belief. Speaking up leads to embarrassment. It's safer to stay silent. These small, seemingly insignificant events can snowball, becoming a pattern of thought that persists well into adulthood. But self-doubt doesn't just come from others. It can also stem from failure, from trying something new and falling short. Maybe you started a business and it didn't take off. Maybe you auditioned for a play and didn't get the part. Each of these moments adds another brick to the wall of doubt, and the more bricks there are, the harder it feels to break through. What makes self-doubt so insidious is its subtlety. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It sneaks into your thoughts when you least expect it. When you're about to take a leap, it says, "Are you sure you're ready?" When you're considering a bold idea, it asks, "What if you fail?" Over time, these whispers become louder until they feel like the truth. The tricky part is that self-doubt often disguises itself as rationality. It tells you it's just being cautious, that it's helping you avoid failure. But in reality, it's holding you back. It's like a voice in your head that thinks it's protecting you when all it's really doing is keeping you in a cage. And here's the thing. The human brain is wired to remember pain more vividly than joy. This is an evolutionary survival mechanism designed to keep us safe. If you touched a hot stove as a child, your brain made sure you never forgot that pain. But this same mechanism often works against us in the modern world. It takes emotional pain, like failure or rejection, and magnifies it, embedding it deeply into our subconscious. For example, if you failed to make the basketball team in high school, your brain might twist that into a broader narrative. "I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed at anything I try." And once that narrative takes root, it influences every decision you make. But let's take a closer look at these moments of self-doubt. Were they really about your worth, or were they just about a single instance? One failed attempt at something doesn't define your abilities, but self-doubt tries to convince you otherwise. It turns specific situations into sweeping generalizations. It makes you believe that one failure means you're destined to fail again and again. And then there's comparison. From a young age, many of us are taught to measure ourselves against others. Whether it's grades, appearances, or achievements, we're constantly comparing, constantly ranking ourselves. If someone else seems smarter, more successful, or more confident, self-doubt creeps in, whispering, "You'll never be like them." This comparison is amplified in today's world, where social media shows us carefully curated snapshots of other people's lives. We see their successes, but not their struggles. We see their achievements, but not their self-doubt. And we assume they have it all figured out, while we're stuck grappling with our own insecurities. But here's a truth that's often overlooked. Self-doubt isn't a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of the stories you've been told and the experiences you've had. It's not an inherent flaw or weakness. It's simply a learned response, a response you can unlearn. The roots of self-doubt may run deep, but they're not unbreakable. Just as they were planted through repeated experiences, they can be uprooted through new ones. By recognizing where your doubt comes from, you take the first step in loosening its grip. You start to see it for what it really is, a shadow, not a permanent fixture. Remember this: every time you face self-doubt, you're standing at the edge of an opportunity. The voice of doubt is loudest right before you're about to do something meaningful, something that has the power to change your life. Instead of letting it stop you, let it remind you that you're stepping into a moment of growth. Because that's exactly what it is, a moment where you can rewrite the narrative and choose a new path forward. Now, here's something surprising. Self-doubt isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it's a sign that you care deeply about what you're doing. If you didn't care, you wouldn't feel nervous or hesitant. Think about athletes before a big game or performers before stepping on stage. Even the most seasoned professionals experience self-doubt, but they've learned to harness it. They've learned that doubt is simply a signal, an indicator that they're stepping out of their comfort zone. And that's where growth happens. Self-doubt can be your ally if you let it. It can push you to prepare harder, to refine your skills, to prove that voice in your head wrong. The key is to recognize it, acknowledge it, and then move forward anyway. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. What has self-doubt cost you? Maybe it was an opportunity you let slip away, a relationship you didn't pursue, a dream you didn't chase because you were too afraid of failing. Self-doubt has a way of stealing our potential, bit by bit, until one day we look back and wonder, what if? The truth is, self-doubt thrives on inaction. The longer we stay in its grip, the stronger it becomes. It feeds on our fears and magnifies them, creating a cycle that's hard to break. But here's the good news. That cycle can be broken, and it starts with a single decision, a decision to act despite the doubt. Self-doubt doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it disguises itself as perfectionism. You tell yourself, "I'm not ready yet. I'll wait until I'm better prepared." But deep down, you're stalling because you're afraid. Other times, it shows up as procrastination. You put off starting a project, not because you're lazy, but because you're scared it won't turn out the way you hope. And then there's comparison. You look at others who seem more talented, more successful, and you think, why even bother? I'll never be like them. These patterns are common, but they're also misleading. The people you compare yourself to, they face self-doubt too. The difference is, they didn't let it stop them. Overcoming self-doubt isn't about silencing that inner voice entirely. It's about changing the way you respond to it. Imagine this. You're about to give a presentation, and that voice says, "You're going to mess up." Instead of spiraling into panic, you pause. You take a deep breath and say, "Maybe I will mess up, but that's okay. I'll learn from it." By reframing your thoughts, you take away their power. You start to see doubt as a challenge, not a barrier. Here's another way to shift your mindset. Focus on your progress, not perfection. Every small step you take is proof that you're capable. Celebrate those steps, no matter how insignificant they seem. Confidence isn't built overnight. It's built through consistent action. Self-doubt often feels isolating, But you're not alone in this battle. Everyone from your closest friends to the most successful people in the world has faced it. Reach out to those who uplift you. Share your fears with someone you trust. Sometimes, hearing someone else say, "You've got this," is all it takes to quiet that inner critic. And don't underestimate the power of mentorship. Learning from someone who's been where you are can provide invaluable perspective. They can remind you that doubt is just a phase, not a permanent state. At its core, self-doubt is rooted in fear. The fear of failure, rejection, or disappointment. But here's the thing about fear. It loses its grip when you take action. Think about a time when you were scared to do something but did it anyway. Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting, trying a new hobby, or reaching out to someone you admired. How did you feel afterward? Chances are, you felt empowered. Action is the antidote to doubt. It doesn't have to be a big leap. It can be a small step. Each action you take is a vote for the person you want to become, and over time, those votes add up. Self-doubt may never disappear completely, but it doesn't have to control you. It's a shadow, not a wall. And every time you face it head-on, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you think. So the next time doubt creeps in, remember this. You've already overcome so much to get where you are. You've faced challenges, learned lessons, and grown in ways you probably don't even realize. You are capable, you are resilient, and most importantly, you are unstoppable. Now take a deep breath. Whatever it is you've been hesitating to do, go do it. The world is waiting for your unique light. Believe in yourself. Take the first step. You've got this.